VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
Thank you for joining us on Crosstalk. Friends, very important program and topic today. I hope you tune in with both ears. We are in primary season all throughout the country, and as we speak today, there are voters going on, primaries taking place in Maryland, New York, and Utah, people going to the polls to cast their votes. And flying beneath the radar on so many races is CARE Action, the Council on American Islamic Relations. Just today, CARE Action sent out a press release saying that their team was on the ground and behind the scenes across multiple states doing the essential work that moves elections, endorsing candidates, mobilizing voters, and building the kind of relationships that turn a community into a constituency. They state that this has officially become their most impactful cycle yet. Indeed, the slate of Islamic candidates is on the increase, and in the words of Muslim activist Linda Sarsour, we're cleaning up Congress. Just last month at a Texas Islamic conference, Islamic scholars said, quote, "Islam will rule the world. Our goal is for America to become a Muslim country." Joining us today on these and other related issues, we welcome back Usama Daktak, the founder of the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. He has a program called Revealing the Truth About Islam. He speaks fluent Arabic. He's translated the Quran into English, author of numerous books like Exposing the Truth About the Quran, Exposing the Truth About Jihad, and also the booklets, The Violent Truth About Islam and The Straight Way to Eternal Life. Usama, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Brother Jim. It's always my joy and my honor to be with you and all our wonderful audience.
So today, voters, Usama, are going to the polls in Maryland, New York, and Utah. They're casting their ballots, and just recently, the Islamic activist Linda Sarsour spoke at a New York City Democratic Socialist of America rally. I'm going to play for you what she said in part. Let's listen in here to Linda Sarsour.
They told us that we couldn't have a democratic socialist like Zahran Mamdani as the mayor of New York City. And what they don't know is that we are people that do not take no, that don't take no for an answer. We're also watching candidates all across this city, but also across the country, who are standing unequivocally for a free Palestine, winning elections all across this country. So not only are we going to clean up New York State with this slate, we're also cleaning up Congress. From Chris Rabb to Dr. Frederick Haynes III to Dr. Adam Hamawi to Daria Lisa to Claire and many, many more to come before the August 4th primaries. The first Palestinian-American New York State Senator, Abir Gawass.
And they start yelling.
Free Palestine! Yep. Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Okay, they go on from there. Usama, your response.
Yeah, well, here's the truth, Brother Jim. From your intro, you talked about CARE. Mm-hmm. And you said that CARE is involved in all that. We, as Americans, know CARE is Hamas. We, as Americans, know that CARE is a Muslim Brotherhood. And we, as Americans, did nothing about it. We deserve even worse than that. Because if the Republicans have some backbones and they made the statements and they know the proof and the evidence that CARE should not be free moving around this country to help the Muslim agenda, we should literally lock them up. All the members of CARE, start with Nahad Awad and every member of this jihadi organization. You could not have CARE in Egypt to run their business as they are doing it in America. In the Muslim country of Egypt, where the base of the Muslim Brotherhood is. Can you imagine it with me? I am sick and tired of all the Republicans who are standing, showing their muscles, and they do nothing about it. They did not arrest one member of CARE. We do not have one member like CARE in Egypt. In the whole entire country. So that's the beginning. As for Linda Sarsour, she's doing what she's doing, which she's good at doing, which is promoting all these parties and free Palestine, which means what? Killing the last Jew. If you want to understand what does she mean by free Palestine, because the Palestinians are free in the middle of the Jewish people, but for the Muslim world, like Linda Sarsour and others, Palestinian will be free when we kill the last Jew. And these people have the guts to shout these words, and nobody will say anything about it because we know we are a bunch of cowards, politically, and we're going to do nothing about it. That is to stop Keir or Linda Sarsour or anybody like her.
Yeah, and I'm going to play another clip here. This just earlier this month, New Jersey had their primary. New Jerseyans listening right now. And they voted to advance the nomination of Adam Hamawi on the Democratic ticket, a Muslim. And I'd like to just air a clip from their election rally. Listen in. Usama, at this campaign rally, they are yelling, Allah Akbar.
Yeah, takbir, Allahu Akbar, takbir. It is a shout of victory. Allah is bigger. And why is he shouting Allahu Akbar? Because once again, the American people do not know anything about Allah or the phrase Allahu Akbar. And at the same time, that's how they take over the country. This is a shout you can hear only when a Muslim man take an airplane to a building, or a Muslim man shout Allahu Akbar by pulling a switch in his body to blow himself to pieces in some dynamite bomb to kill those who surrounded him. Do you know, Brother Jim, you can say Jesus is great. You can say Jesus is God Almighty in the flesh inside the mosque, loud. And nobody will be bothered. They think you're crazy. But if you shout Allahu Akbar inside the mosque, the Muslim believers, they will run out of the mosque because they know that is a shout before death. That is a shout because some Sunni is going to blow himself to pieces in a Shia mosque or Shia in a Muslim Sunni mosque. Mm-hmm. And that is the reality. But the American people don't see anything wrong with it. And I guarantee you, with the help of all the Democrats, they will win in every place they are trying to get somebody to represent them, whatever office, whatever position. God bless the Democrat of America. They're super stupid, useful idiots. They do not know that they're shouting and they're helping the Muslims to win. And in the end, they will be crushed by the hand of the Muslim believers.
But, Usama, are there not Muslims running also as Republicans?
Absolutely, yeah. They're going to run in independent and Republican and Democrat.
So what's the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference between a Muslim Republican and a Muslim Democrat?
Oh, okay. In the Muslim Republican, these are the one who call themselves moderate Muslims. These are the one who believe in reforming Islam. When in reality, if you examine them, you find out they're not reforming Islam. They're running away from Islam. They're pretending to be something else. So I'm going to tell you about Reformation. The Muslim Reformation is about getting away from the book. I'm talking about the Quran. It is the opposite of the Christian Reformation. The Christian Reformation is solo scripture. Go back to the Bible. So you go to a guy like Muhammad Zuhdi Jasser, or another gentleman by the name Ibrahim Hamada, and they're both running as Republican congressmen in Phoenix, Arizona. And they both will win. I guarantee you they will win. And they will tell you they're moderate Muslims, when in reality, they do not know anything about Islam. As a matter of fact, if you examine the words of Muhammad Zuhdi Jasser, in his own words, he said, I do not know much about the Arabic Quran, and I'm not claiming to be an expert on Sharia. At the same time, he invented the word Islamist, which I found out, by the way, is a French word, which means to follow the teaching of the Quran, to follow the teaching of the Sunnah of Muhammad, which is a true Muslim believer. But he would tell you in most interviews all over Fox and every other channel, we are against the radicals. We are against the extremists. We are against the Islamists, as if the Islamist is another religion. No, Islamists are the Muslim believer. He does not know anything about Islam. So you're going to see Muslim running as a Republican. You're going to see Muslim running as an independent. And can you imagine with me, in Arizona alone, 2 congressmen are going to be Muslim. Imagine 2 congressmen in every state for Muslims, Muslim believer. You will have 100 Muslim Republicans in America. So what do we have left for America? Anything else? Anybody else? No. The Democrats will vote for the radical Muslims, and the Republican will vote for the moderate Muslims. When in reality, Brother Jim, you have heard me say that a million times. There is no moderate Muslims because there is no moderate Islam. These are radical in their okay. These are the one who claim to be against the radical, but in reality they're just a fake Muslim. But here's the problem, Brother Jim. When these people will be gone, I mean, when Zuhdi Yasser is gone, that seat will never go back to another Christian or Jew or American guy. No, it will always be a Muslim seat. And I promise you, when these so-called moderate Muslims will leave office, they will be replaced by the same Muslims which you see running in the Democrat, which is radical, extreme, fundamental, true Muslim believers. And they will be shouting, Allahu Akbar, as we just heard it in Maryland.
Usama Dakdak with us today, and friends, we mentioned this even as New York is going to the polls and voting today, as well as Maryland, and the desire of those within the Islamic the CARE Action, etc., is to see Muslims extend and go into the November race as well. Now, Usama, I just want to be sure I heard you correctly. Did you say that CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, is the same as Hamas?
Absolutely. They are Muslim Brotherhood. We know that from all the history of, literally, if you go back to the Holy Land Foundation trial, and you found that they are the one who worked with Hamas from years and years, way in days of Bush. And Bush did nothing about it. And then we have Trump. He first did nothing about it. And now Trump have another couple of years, and he will do nothing about it. And we got the congressman, the governor of Texas, and the governor of Florida speaking so loud about it, and not one person has been arrested yet. And they will not arrest any of CARE members because they don't have the guts to say, you're a Muslim jihadi. You cannot do what you're doing here right now in Egypt. Therefore, we have to round you up. We have to get rid of you. But they're not going to do that, Brother Jim. I promise you.
So, but they go by the acronym of CARE. And if,
Sure.
if they had instead of Hamas action or Hamas sending out press releases, people might be concerned by that. But by saying CARE, they think, it's just a group of Muslims who want to advance their candidates.
Sure. But in reality, if you know their agenda, if you know their plans, if you know their stand on Sharia, they are Muslim Brotherhood, 100%. Let me say it again, Brother Jim. These people cannot run for office in Egypt, the Muslim country of Egypt, but they can do whatever they want to do here in America, simply because we're so naive and we do not know so much about them. And, the Bible is very clear. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and that's what's going to happen. The Democrats are going anywhere, any ways they can to seek power. They're thinking that the Muslims will help them to seek power, when in reality they will be taken by the Muslims, and America will be no more.
Friends, we're talking today with Usama Dakdak, who is from Egypt. He is founder of the Straight Way of Grace Ministry and a speaker on Revealing the Truth About Islam broadcasts, both radio and television. We're going to take a quick break, and friends, when we come back, I'm going to read from a press release that went out today from CARE Action, boasting of all the many victories that are happening all across the country. We'll be back in 1 minute. You're listening to Crosstalk.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, scientist with the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, how fast do stars change from one type of star into another?
Chris, evolutionists are fond of saying that changes in stars take millions of years to occur. But it's important to remember that they've never seen stars do anything for millions of years. And yet sometimes we do see stars undergo dramatic change quickly. Recently, a star was observed to change in only a few years from a white dwarf star about the size of the Earth to a giant star 80 times wider than the Sun, an increase in volume of over 500 million. Evolutionists used to insist that such changes took long periods, but when we see it happen rapidly. Evidently, the biblical doctrine of recent creation of all things is accurate. Back to Genesis, that's the view that fits the facts.
For more on Genesis, visit our website at icr.org. This is Chris O'Brien. Thanks for going back to Genesis.
Islam rule pursued for the United States. That's our topic today on Crosstalk. Usama Daktak is with us from the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. He does speak fluent Arabic. He has studied Sharia. He has written a English translation of the Quran so that people can understand what the Quran says word for word and understand the threat that Islam is to Christians and Jews. Today we received, and stations across the country received from Care Action, a press release that says, "Keep the momentum going. This has officially become our most impactful cycle yet. Here's a look at what we accomplished together. California dreamin' big, 63 victories. We've been absolutely booked and busy in California this primary season, proving that when our community organizes, we win. Together we were able to endorse 101 candidates spanning local, state, and federal races, secure a staggering 63 victories, sending these champions straight to the general election in November. Then they boast in New Jersey's 12th Congressional District, Dr. Adam Hamawi secured a spectacular primary victory, taking a monumental step toward joining the growing vital coalition of American Muslims elected to Congress. The battle in New Jersey is just getting started. November is fast approaching. We need to ensure Dr. Hamawi has the resources to cross the finish line. Breaking barriers, Dr. Aisha Wahab advances in California. California made its voice heard loud and clear during the special election to fill a critical congressional seat. Dr. Aisha Wahab has successfully advanced to the next round, bringing her just one step away from making history as the nation's first Afghan-American Congress member. And then they have congratulations to former CARE Georgia staffer, now turned historic trailblazer, Ruwa Rahman, on her primary victory for Georgia State Senate District Number 7. And then for today, June 23rd, they said head directly to the ballot box today in New York and Maryland. We need every single community member to show up and make their voice heard. We have an incredible opportunity to send a new wave of Muslim leaders to chambers across the country. In New York, keep a close eye, and they mentioned their candidates, Dareliza Chevalier's primary race for the House, and Aber Kabaz, who is running to bring authentic community advocacy to the New York Senate. Maryland, Rahila Ahmed on the primary ballot is a proven champion fighting for equity and justice in the Maryland State Senate. Usama, this is coming from all over the country, boasting the number of, I just think of Canada, California alone, 63 victories out of 101 Muslim candidates.
Yes, Brother Jim, and the worse than that, these people have a big chance to win in the final election. And the reason is Christians do not believe they should do anything about politics. Churches are not interested to tell the people to go and vote. And most Americans do not bother about voting, except the Democrats will be voting and the Muslim will be voting. And with many stealing elections, Muslims have no problem to vote 10 times, 20 times for the cause of Islam. Yeah, they will go for jail even if they get caught. But nobody gets caught in America for stealing elections. So here is all this can end. Yes, they got 63 in California. All this can end when the conservative, when the church, which I know half of them do not even register to vote in many places all over America, get out of their comfortable seat, go register and go vote. There are not 2% Muslims live in California. And with the dumb Democrat who you've been used as useful idiot, you get 30%. What about the rest of the people of California? But the problem, Brother Jim, is not Muslim run for office. The problem is conservative and Christians are not voting because they don't care. And that is where you see the destruction.
And I think that's a very interesting point, because I understand many primaries, voter turnout sometimes 40, 45%, somewhere in that range, but the Muslim voter turnout is twice that. Like 90% of Muslims going to cast their vote. And so all those who are sitting at home and saying, oh, my vote really doesn't matter, I'm just going to wait till November, it really does matter.
And when you get to November, I promise you, those who voted for the primary, they will be voting 4, 5, 6 times. Brother Jim, I came out of this culture. In Egypt, I have been voting the last 35 years, even though I've been out of Egypt all these years. Somebody is voting for me, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so is the Muslims there. You may think that they're all going, the 90%. No, maybe half of them are going, but they go and vote for everybody else. And they vote 2, 3 times. Stealing is lawful in Islam, especially if you're taking it from the infidels.
You know, I've got another audio clip I'd like to share as well. This is from one who is called a Muslim Brotherhood leader that speaks about the necessity of struggle. And he speaks to the division happening across our country right now with the likes of Tucker Carlson and others. And he says our work is paying off. Listen to what he had to say.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We turn to you in gratitude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And remembrance.
Let me get that other clip here. I'll get to that one here in just a moment. Here we go.
Now, within the Republican Party, we see the split, we see the fractures within what the MAGA movement. You see the likes of Tucker Carlson, you see the likes of Candace Owens, you see the likes of Megyn Kelly, you see the likes of Steve Bannon. He's the one who coined MAGA. Do you know what MAGA means? Do you know what MAGA? Do you know what MAGA? MAGA, make America great again, right? MAGA, make Israel great again. So he said, either you're MAGA or MEGA. Choose. So he accuses people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, who he calls Mark Tel Aviv Levin. That's what he calls him. These cracks are happening. So now, for those who continue to question, is our work paying off? I'm telling you, it is. Is it where we want it to be? No, it's not. Is it where it should be? No, it's not. Are we able to get there? Yes, we are. Because Allah is providing evidence to us that your struggle is paying off, that your voices is making a difference. But it comes with what? It comes with sacrifices. It comes with hardships. It's the same as Surah Al-Isra. You want the victory in the first and second round? It has to come with a sacrifice. It has to come with struggle. Today we're afforded another opportunity. America now is being divided. Spoke about the promise of Allah, the promise of victory. But you know, if you go and through the ayahs again, you will find that victory comes through struggle. Comes through struggle. There are ups and downs. It depends on the situation of the ummah, of the believers. When we are awarded struggle or we are defeated. It depends on us. Yes, the victory of Allah is given. The promise of Allah is given. But what is not given, it is the people who are going to achieve this victory.
Usama, your response.
I would say this is about division and unity. You know what's amazing? As I've been watching the news lately with all those who call themselves conservative, and they are anti-Israel, and they did not know by saying these things they're bringing division within the MAGA movement. And the Muslims in America are very united. I mean, I never thought in my life that I'd go to a mosque, and I've been to many of them all over this country in different states. And I go to the mosque and I ask, what mosque are you? We're Muslim mosque. I understand. You're Shia or Sunni. Oh, no, we don't have Shia and Sunni. We're all Muslims. Excuse me. You cannot have a Sunni in Egypt in a Shia mosque. Or a Shia in a Sunni mosque. They will be afraid of them because they could be the one who come to blow up some bomb or kill them. So, but here in America, Muslims are very united, and they understand with the division there is the destruction, with the unity there is a victory. So they are very united, and we are very divided because of so many people who are so ignorant of even the same effects. We don't make Israel great. What is make Israel great? Israel is great by itself with the relationship with the Lord, and it's up to the Lord to make her strong or not. We cannot make Israel great. So you get this propaganda, MAGA and MEGA, it is just showing division in America, and that will help Muslims to have a better chance to take over this country. As long as we're divided, yes, indeed, Muslims will keep marching on to take over America. And that is the most important point of that speaker who had this lecture here.
Yeah, indeed. Well, last month, Usama, there was this Islamic conference in Texas, and 3 Muslim clerics spoke, and they made their intentions very known. There was a Colorado Islamic scholar, Kareem Abu Zayed, who said Islam will rule the world again and that no other faith possesses the morality of Islam. There was the San Diego Islamic scholar, Uthman ibn Farouk, who said that Muslims want America to become a Muslim country and believe Islam is the best thing for America, adding that Muslim seeks to spread Islam peacefully through dawah. And then Kareem Abu Zayed is working to establish a new Islamic complex in a church purchased in the Richardson, Texas, suburb of Dallas, Texas as well. But coming for this conference, and again, Islam will rule the world again. No other faith possesses the morality of Islam.
And notice, Brother Jim, they're very wise and they know exactly what words they use in their speeches. They're talking about struggle, which is actually the word jihad. But they're not going to use our jihad, your jihad. No, because it's a word make people nervous. It's a word wake up the American people. They just talk about struggle. Struggle what? Struggle my foot. What are you struggling in America? What suffering do you have in this country since September 11th, for heaven's sake? It's been 26 years, and you're marching on, going forward and forward and forward. You never pay for any of the blood has been shed in this country. But see, they know what they're doing, and they're marching on, and they will have the victory. Unless our lazy preachers in our churches get rid of the stupidity of the political correctness, and from the pulpit, repeat that program. Pick up pieces out of this and put it on in the church and tell the people in the church, are you registered to vote? No, go register. Don't come next Wednesday and go register for church service. Whatever it takes, every Christian should vote. Every Christian should register. Every Christian conservative should go and talk to their neighbors, the liberal, the Democrats, who do not know when they vote for the Mohammedans, they vote for the destruction of America. They need to learn. They need to know. But we don't want to offend anybody, Brother Jim, and we don't want to upset anybody in our church in case we have some Democrats in our church. Get rid of them, because they will get rid of you, and the church will suffer severely because of the stupidity of such leaders in the church who will not get the guts to stand up and speak the truth about. Here's the Muslim agenda. Here's what they're doing. We're sitting in line sleeping. We're in a coma. Wake up, church. Wake up, America.
I'd like to just also play one last clip here, and this is the chambers of the Illinois Capitol as a Muslim speaker was at the rostrum, and here's that clip.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We turn to you in gratitude and remembrance. O Lord, remind us that the history of Islam in America is not a story that began in 1965, nor one that arrived upon distant shores in the 20th century. It is woven into the very tapestry of this nation. It is part of Black American history, a story not only of bondage, but of spiritual emancipation, a freedom of the soul that existed long before its material counterpart was realized. Let us honor that truth with fortitude and clarity.
Okay, Islam woven into the fabric of our nation?
Yeah, and it's amazing. That's a Muslim lady offering a prayer. I would challenge her to offer the same prayer in another 56 Muslim countries. Muslim voice is aura, Brother Jim. Aura is like a very shameful thing. It's like somebody showing her, nakedness to the world to look at. Muslim women do not speak out loud in the Muslim world. But here's the open prayers.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, and friends, again, Islamic rule is being pursued for the United States, but we're going to also just take a look at what's happening outside the United States as well as the threat even of Islam coming down from Canada. We'll be back in 1 minute. This is Crosstalk on VCY America.
Are you aware of past crises when America's fate hung desperately in the balance? The French and Indian War, the Revolution, the Civil War, and in other national events. Leaders in our country called the nation to prayer. In the book, Miracles in American History, author Susie Federer recounts 32 amazing stories of answered prayer. Read about events like the winter at Valley Forge, the Boston Tea Party, dense fog that appeared, allowing 8,000 troops to escape, the Star-Spangled Banner, and other events where prayer had an impact. You'll also learn when Apollo 13 was lost in space, and what happened after the president called the nation to prayer. Volume 1 of Miracles in American History is available for a donation of $20, or Volumes 1 and 2 with additional stories for a donation of $35. Call 1-800-729-9829.
Friends, the push is going on for the full domination in our political system, promoting Islam. And I mean, every state primary that's going on, the boasting that's happening of the number of Islamic candidates that are advancing to the November general elections. Races underway today, even in Maryland and New York as well. New Jersey just propelling their Islamic candidate for office. And it's not just happening politically, but it's happening in schools as well. We've given so many illustrations. We interviewed Usama countless times. He's done programs on Islam in our textbooks and so forth. But I just saw a story in the Post-Millennial. They recently reported that the Rochester Public Schools, this is in Rochester, Minnesota, has just added a Muslim holiday, Eid al-Adha, to its 2027-2028 school year. The board approved this 4-1. They said it was because so many students are absent that it disrupts, the classroom. One speaker went before them in protest saying Christmas break became winter break, Easter break became spring break, yet this Muslim holiday is to be an official school holiday, and the speaker, Usama, called it an abomination.
Brother Jim, Eid al-Adha is a second important Eid after Ramadan for the Muslims. And what they're doing is they put their foot into our school to say we have to accept Islam. We have to acknowledge Islam. Now, I can show you some videos and I can show you some pictures of what happened in the Muslim world on that day. And if the American people will see these pictures and will see these videos, it will be illegal for Muslims to exist in America. Can you imagine that with me? I can show you streets in Cairo, in Alexandria. I'm talking about the big famous cities, the capital of Egypt, for heaven's sake, and every other city where children standing in the street, Brother Jim, and they see a butcher cut the head of the cow or the camel, drop on the ground, and blood smell and stink for the whole hundreds of sheep, thousands of sheep and camels and cows in the street, cutting their throat, beheading them. And you expect this will not have influence on these children when they grow up to be hit human? That is how Muslims celebrate the Adha. And we now just give them the okay to celebrate it in America. And next 5 years from now, or maybe 10 years from now, you're going to see some people killing their animals on the top of the roof or in their kitchen sink. And then it gets bigger, it's going to be on the backyard. And then it gets a little bit bigger and will be in the street. And you will welcome Egypt and the rest of the Muslim country. For the Muslim in America will be the same, sacrificing animals all over the streets, and people will be watching it like somebody passing flowers. This is ridiculous, Brother Jim. And once again, the American people do not know anything about Islam, and there's 4 idiots versus one said, yeah, we should give them Adha. Yeah, we should give them Ramadan. Yeah, we should give them America. That is exactly what are we doing.
Yeah. And I'm just looking to our neighbor to the north. Edmonton, Canada, just made Arabic courses widely available in public elementary and high schools, and they're getting help from Qatar to do that.
Of course. It is called infiltration. I love what Charlie Kirk said, and I did not know that he said it until just a year ago. But I have been saying that with you and Brother Vic Elias, and I've been saying that actually in some of my videos, which I recorded 20 years ago when Charlie Kirk was a little boy, okay? And he said, immigration without assimilation is invasion. This is exactly what I've been saying. I say, watch the Muslims. They don't want to be American. They don't want to speak English. They want to have the driver test in the Arabic language. They want to have the citizenship test in the Arabic language. That's exactly what they're doing, Brother Jim. They are infiltrating us. We need to be like them, not them be like us. They need to make America and everybody in America a Muslim believer. And that's exactly what we march on, and they do it in an easy steps. It is boiling the frog, Brother Jim. You don't put a frog in a hot boiling water. It will jump out. Just give it a relax. One step here, a little bit hot temperature here. And when the water gets real hot, now the frog is in a coma. And then a little bit later, now the frog is dead. This is exactly what's happening in America.
Friends, let me repeat that phrase that Usama said that attributed even to Charlie Kirk. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. And speaking of that issue, Usama, we just got a warning from the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary, Markwayne Mullen, sounding the alarm about members of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps potentially sneaking into America at the country's northern border, the Canadian-U.S. border, IRGC sneaking across.
Yeah, it was in the first term of Mr. Trump when he was closing the border between us and Mexico. And I said, it's not going to work. And people were saying, why? I said, you can close that border and secure it. We need a bigger border, longer border. It is Canadian-American border. And I know about that border, Brother Jim, literally from before I even came to America. It had to be at least 40 years ago. Why? Because so many Egyptians came out of Egypt to Canada. And I said, it's too cold in Canada. How are you going to live in Canada? They said, oh, no. After we go to Canada, then we cross the border and go to America. This is exactly why, because the Canadian people give a visa to anybody. It doesn't matter. If you have 4 wives, they welcome you and your 4 wives. If you are a Muslim, Canadian open their door to everybody. And if they can come to Canada, it doesn't matter, a year, 5, 10 years, they can end in America anyway. And that's exactly what we'll have. A problem with the border for northern country between us and Canada is going to be a greater problem than that which we have with Mexico.
And Islam is spreading rapidly in Canada as well.
Sure.
A mosque in Regina, Saskatchewan, now is blasting the Islamic call to prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Islam is growing in Canada twice as fast than I can ever imagine. I saw the Canadian people have some logical common sense, but obviously everything I tried to do in Canada, it did not work. We actually recorded a whole series about the lies in textbooks, and we were so excited about it, and we found out later that the Canadian government will not allow this TV station to broadcast it, and that was literally a good 15 years ago. And so anybody can speak for Islam, but nobody can speak against Islam, and that is the game in Canada. That's how Muslims are easily moving to Canada, taking over Canada.
You know, shouldn't we be learning from the UK right now, what's going on in Europe? I mean, I just saw a story about reporting 95% of the rape gang members are Muslims, but they're justifying their acts by, references to Islam, and some are reciting the Quran as they're committing rape. I saw also 250,000 young white girls in the UK victimized by these rape gangs, and the Prime Minister, Starmer, who's now out resigning, did nothing about this at all. Shouldn't we be learning from what's going on in the UK?
You think, but we're not, because we're not talking about it. Literally, all these rape cases which we produce for VCY on our TV channel, Channel 30, every week. And every week, Brother Jim, I mentioned 5 or 6 stories about rape. In 1 week, we got a rape in Germany to a 9-year-old child and a 90-year-old great-grandma in Germany. Imagine that with me. And it's not about having sex. It's about Muslims saying we're taking over. We are here taking over. We're infiltrating this country. Now Allah is giving it to us. That's what it is. Friends,
I'm opening our phone lines today for your questions for Usama Dakdak or a brief comment. Our number 1-800-733-9829. That's 1-800-733-9829. And I've just got to play this clip because we talk about what's going on to the UK. And here we have King Charles, who made no reference, to my knowledge, of public statement pertaining to Easter, but he sure did for Eid. Listen in.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Ladies and gentlemen, as Muslims across the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth begin preparations to celebrate Eid after fasting for the holy month of Ramadan, I just wanted to convey my heartfelt best wishes to all who celebrate this festival, and to tell you just how much my wife and I are thinking of you at this special time of year. This last year, I know, has been deeply challenging for us all, and I'm only too aware of the impact of the pandemic on the Muslim community. This year, so many families, like my own, will have an empty seat at their dinner table, and friends are no longer able to share the celebratory hug after Eid prayers.
Usama.
The man lost his mind, Brother Jim. The man lost his mind. I believe deep in my heart he's a convert of Islam, or the most dumbest king England ever known. I'm out of words. I don't know how to respond or give you a word about the level of ignorance and stupidity of that king. It's just God help us.
Yeah, and now Keir Starmer, the prime minister, has resigned, and with these rape gangs, he did nothing, just a letter of reprimand or something of that nature, rather than charging these individuals?
Yeah, Brother Jim, a long time ago, I made a statement, and I said, from talking to many of my friends in England and Ireland and different places in Europe, Europe is going to see some bad times. They're going to be literally a revolution in Europe. There will be a civil war in Europe, and the Muslims love it. I cannot tell you how much Muslims would love to have jihad in Europe, and they cannot do it unless the Europeans start it. You start it, then we're going to burn your country to the ground. If it's France or Germany or Ireland or Sweden or all these European countries, they're gone. But the only way the British people can get rid of this problem and save their country is not to start a civil war. It's to get rid of their leaders. Remove your politicians beginning by the king. Get rid of that king. You see, you don't get rid of the king. No, you get rid of the Charlie, and I promise you, England would change around. But if the British people will go in war with the Muslims, start burning their homes and burning their business, as it's happening right now in Northern Ireland, that will bring the destruction of Europe. You're going to see in the end, Muslims will be shouting Allahu Akbar, and they will be victorious because they love death more than we can ever love life. Our
guest, Usama Dakdak, our number 1-800-733-9829. We begin with Steve in Allenbridge, West Virginia. Steve, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. I tip my hat to you for constantly beating the drum on this grave danger that we are in. And we need to be praying because we've turned our back on the Lord our God, and He has given us over to a strong delusion, and we're in big trouble. Our preachers won't say nothing about it. They're spineless, and I tell you what, I mean, we've got to come back to the Lord God Almighty, and their Allah is not our God.
Amen.
And so that's all I want to say, and I pray that folks will repent, and let's get down to business in praying against evil, breaking down these strongholds. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, brother. You know, Brother Jim, I'll say, according to this, what I heard from my dear brother here, that the church is not doing anything about it, and I will give, take it sarcastically here, to our dear Muslim friends. America is yours to take. Don't worry, the church is in a coma. Perfect time to take it, because if the church will wake up, Muslims, you could not, and you will never take over America. And since the church is in a coma, go ahead, take America.
Yeah. Now, friends, I do want to say that when we refer to the church, we're talking about the church as a whole is asleep. It's silent, as Usama just said, in a coma. Yes, there are individual pastors and individual churches that are sounding the wake-up call, sounding the alarm, and proclaiming the word. We thank God for them. But when we talk in that term, generally, when you talk about the Church of America, very much asleep on this topic. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the lines are packed. We'll get more of your phone calls in here today on Crosstalk, so stay with us. Usama Dakdak, our guest, thestraightway.org is his website, thestraightway.org. By the way, Usama is available to come out to your church and help wake up the people of your church and hold a conference or an individual meeting. You can reach out to him through his website as well, thestraightway.org. Back in a minute here on Crosstalk.
For the Worldview Report, I'm Brandon House. Our website's worldviewtube.com. Revolver News, which tends to be a little bit more of a conservative news site, had a headline on June 20th, 2026. Trump's ready to reopen mental institutions, and liberals are furious. They seem to be praising the idea. Well, I want to bring a word of caution, because what one administration does with maybe good intentions can certainly be hijacked by another administration. Now, we do have a lot of people, homeless people in homeless camps, and people on the street that have abuse problems, substance abuse, alcohol, drugs. Some people are folks that suffer with autism and other mental handicaps, and they should be helped. But do we really want the government forcing people into mental hospitals, forcing them like prisoners? No, because it's not a long stretch to be called a domestic terrorist or mentally ill as a Christian or conservative. Think hard, Americans.
This is Crosstalk on VCY America. Usama Dakdok with us today on the broadcast. Let's get right back to the phone lines. Ron is calling from Washington State. Hi, Ron. You're on the air.
Yes, I just want to remind everyone that the King of England is the head of the Church of England. So then the head of the Church of England won't acknowledge Easter, but he will acknowledge Eid. We have a big problem here is that we've turned our back on God. We have nothing to offer these Muslims because we've abandoned the faith. They're headed to hell. They know about the fear of God. They don't know about the love of God. Yeah. Christians know about the love of God. We have a tremendous opportunity to witness to these people and to point them to the Lord and salvation. Otherwise, they're heading straight to perdition. Yeah. They get their head chopped off in these Muslim countries. They can come to the Lord here in the United States because we have freedom of religion. If they ever take over, we won't have it anymore.
Ron, thank you for the call. Usama, that's where the answer lies, does it not? Bringing salvation.
Exactly. They're using our laws, they're using our freedom of religion to take over America. And when they take over America, we will lose everything else we got.
Bonnie is calling from Tucson, Arizona. Bonnie, you're on the air.
Hello. I'd just like to address the fact of how did all of these people get into our government and our military and all of the American things. They've been nothing but problems. And when I was in 1958 high school, we were taught in our class that you had to be an American citizen and you had to, or become one, and before you could do anything. And we've got people that started with Obama that they didn't check into him. And look what happened with that.
Okay, let me have Usama answer. How did
it is true. Pilot program, Obama did it, and he said if you are he did not say the word Muslim, but if you are in America without paper, like we can say illegal, if you join our military, you become a citizen in 10 weeks. This is unbelievable, and because of that, we have a huge number of Muslims join our military to get the citizenship. And besides that, that is the agenda of Muslims in planet Earth. If you go to Russia, there's only 20% Muslims, but in their military, 40% Muslims. And that is exactly what you're going to see in America. You're going to have twice as much people of the country in percentage in the military because they're here to take over, not to become part of us.
Bonnie, thank you for the call. Lori is next in Daggett, Michigan. Lori, you're on the air.
Yeah, along the subject of how fast Islam takes over, my husband and I were in Ethiopia back in 2006 or 2006 or 2007. And Osama, I have a question for you. You might. Back then, we could see the more and more burqas, and which was terrifying for some of the people who understood what that meant. But how would you say if it's happening over there in the Horn of Africa? How is Islam moving there? Is it moving as fast as it's moving in America, or has it slowed down a little?
Okay, thank you, Lori.
Believe it or not, Muslims are losing lots of Muslim believers all over the world. Exactly because people are leaving Islam. But in America, we got so many Americans. I actually debated some Baptist preacher who became a Muslim imam, and I debated a Catholic preacher who's also became a Muslim imam. But the burqa, you're not going to see it big in America for a while. Why? Because they are so smart. If every Muslim female right now in America wears a burqa, then American people are going to wake up. They're going to be alarmed. Here's a big red flag. There are plenty of Muslims in America will be wearing the burqa at the perfect time, which is in the near future. Not now. It's not because they're not here. They're here, but they will do this as a mark to say, it's over for you. We're here, and we're taking over.
Thank you for the call. And let me just say, Usama, that I just saw a headline, too, from Pamela Geller about the Taliban opening fire on women protesting the Islamic dress code. So, women who would not wear the burqa, their lives are in stake in these other nations.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
We've got Evelyn calling from Pennsylvania. Hi, Evelyn. You're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. I think the American people have gotten lazy. We have numbers that would do what we need to do. If these people were little green men like they were in the 60s and we were afraid of being invaded by invaders from outer space and running to your bomb shelter, we would know what to do. But these are deceptive people. They look like us. They sort of act like us. And they're like roaches. They are everywhere, and they come from everywhere. and people need to band together and remember that we are America.
I'm going to let you say that, and we got your point, though, as far as the importance of our nation and what our nation stands for. Let's also go to Jim in Wisconsin. Jim, you're on the air.
Oh, gentlemen, thank you for this program. Like I was telling the call screener, I know everything you guys are talking about. I've followed this stuff. I'm running for state government here in Wisconsin. How do we get people to listen? I've had legislation that I've tried to propose at the federal level. If somebody gets in office, as a Muslim gets in office, how can he truthfully take that oath of office to protect and defend our Constitution? Why doesn't that automatically disqualify him from office or her?
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. They will swear on the Quran, and Quran chapter 2, verse 225 allows them to lie as they give the oath, even by using the Quran. And believe it or not, you will see it again. Years ago, it was Keith Ellison, and then we got 10 people, and then we got 50, and we got 220 last year. And all of them, last election, I mean, a year and a half ago, all of them swear on the Quran, which is, by the way, ridiculous. Why? Because they have to put their left hand on the Quran and they raise their right hand. And in Islam, I said, no, you should never touch the Quran with your left hand. This is ridiculous that these Muslims who swear on the Quran do not even know what they're doing.
Usama, we're down to just a little over half a minute. What would you like to leave with our listeners today?
Let's love America. Let's love the Lord Jesus Christ. Let's love the Muslim people. If we're going to continue to be ignorant of Islam and allow the Muslims to take over America, they are here to destroy us. And in the process, they will be destroying themselves. Many of the Muslim people in America need to be loved with the love of Christ, that they may come to know Jesus, and they will not be as they are. And the reason they are doing everything they're doing because we are ignorant of reaching out to them, loving them, share the gospel with them, and get them out of Islam. If we do not get them out of Islam, they will get us out of America.
Usama, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Brother Jim.
Usama Daktak, his website, thestraightway.org, thestraightway.org. By the way, Usama has written a wonderful booklet called The Straight Way to Eternal Life. It's effective in witnessing to Muslims. We've got copies available here at Crosstalk. One copy for $3, 5 copies for $12, 10 copies for a donation of $18. If you'd like to obtain that, reach out to our switchboard at 800-729-9829. God bless you, friends. Thanks for joining us today on Crosstalk.
You've been listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208, or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.